director of the Crawford County Health Department says Crawford County is ahead of the state average when it comes to COVID-19 vaccinations, but there's still room for improvement. Details are coming up.
Authorities filed charges in connection with a Berry County, Missouri murder investigation.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Southeast Kansas County reports higher than average COVID-19 vaccination numbers. This is KOAM News at 6. Like other parts of the four-state area, Crawford County, Kansas also saw a spike in COVID-19 cases following Memorial Day. But the director of the Crawford County Health Department thinks that's more of a blip than a trend. She also says the county has a lot to be proud of when it comes to getting vaccinated against the coronavirus. KOAM's Mike Mahoney has details.
Joplin's Mercy and Freeman hospitals recently saw a spike in coronavirus cases following graduation and Memorial Day celebrations. But the Crawford County Health Department director says that phenomenon wasn't limited to Missouri.
So we did see a slight uptick this week. For the last 4 weeks, we had new cases were just in the single digits each week. And this week so far, we have had 20 new cases.
Multiple four-state health department directors tell KOAM they'd like to see a lot more of their county's population vaccinated. And while Crawford County Health Department Director Teddy Van Kam believes there is still work to be done in her county, she's also very proud of its progress.
We do have 50% of our population is vaccinated, which is wonderful. This Kansas rate across the state is 43%. And we're right at 50. So, I think as a county, we're doing pretty well.
But that doesn't mean there's not room for improvement, especially with vaccination rates dropping across the four-state area and across the country.
They're trickling in now, but most of the other counties are seeing the same thing, more of a trickle than in the heavy stream we had before.
The Crawford County Health Department director says she wants to see everyone who's eligible for a COVID-19 vaccine get one, but says the 18 through 35 age group is the one that needs the biggest push. And she's also got a message for anyone who's on the fence about getting the shot.
Do your research and look at it, but also consider that you don't want to expose maybe elderly grandparents, other loved ones that you spend time with, and also lost wages are hard to make up, lost school days are hard to make up. So do your research and get vaccinated.
In Crawford County, Kansas, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
If you'd like to book an appointment to get vaccinated at the Crawford County Health Department, just click the link in this story at KOAMnewsnow.com. Nick Kelly, it's another hot one out there.
At least the lower 90s, just like yesterday, down, not to mention the humidity that made it feel like we're in the upper 90s to about 100 during the peak heating of the afternoon. So even though it looks nice, it doesn't feel so nice if you step outside. On the plus side, though, the heat and humidity has not resulted in anything in terms of showers or thunderstorms for today underneath our partly to mostly sunny sky. So we're definitely dry to start the evening out. That being said, later on down the road, starting tomorrow afternoon and evening, these thunderstorms developing to our north and west. They're going to try to move east and then take a dive to the south toward our direction. So that's going to be the next best shot for strong, maybe severe storms to keep an eye on, but not for this evening. We're starting out hot in the lower 90s. Feels like the upper 90s to 100 with the humidity in place. But once we get past sunset, we'll drop back near 80 by 10, 78 by midnight, lows back near 74. Can't rule out a stray shower or storm for the overnight hours down, but the better shot for storms comes tomorrow with maybe a severe threat too. We'll break that down in the rest of the forecast here in a bit.
All right, we'll catch you then. Thanks, Nick. Authorities arrest 2 suspects in a Berry County, Missouri murder case. Those suspects are Carlos Gutierrez and Jonathan Marquez. They're charged with second-degree murder, first-degree robbery, and tampering with physical evidence in a felony prosecution in the death of Dalen Anderson. Anderson was found dead from a gunshot wound on May 28th. A third suspect, Dylan Williams, is charged with second-degree murder and armed criminal action. Someone is dumping chihuahuas in the Branson area and causing a lot of problems for animal control officers who are trying to round them up as the numbers continue to grow. Joe Hickman reports on the massive effort underway to save them and find them homes.
At the Taney County Animal Control Facility in Hollister today, people were showing up with food and volunteering their time because of
the chihuahuas. That's so sad, and to have that on top of all the other animals, I know they needed some help.
There are 27 new Chihuahuas at the Taney County Animal Control, just a part of the larger contingent of the same breed that's been dumped at various locations all across the Branson area, from Reed Spring to Ridgedale.
Over by the Welk Resort, Fall Creek area, that's probably the epicenter. That was where the majority of them were found.
Simpson suspects that it's a dog breeder that's been doing the dumping because
We're seeing 6 months and over dogs, and the majority of them are male. You know, there's backyard breeders. They're not licensed by the Department of Ag. It could be a situation like that. It could be someone that's lost their home, and these were all dogs that lived with them.
right now there are more Chihuahuas showing up every day. And it's an overwhelming situation for area agencies.
I've worked the Joplin tornado where we had masses of dogs, but no, this is the first time we have experienced this. And it's just disheartening because they're actually not bad dogs. They're just all really scared right now.
Aside from a few medical problems,
For the most part, they have been healthy, other than being covered in ticks, but that may be from running for we don't know how long.
and the dogs will be fostered out through area rescues and humane societies.
If you get one Chihuahua, you might as well get two.
They do have socialization work that needs to be done with them. None of them appear to be house trained in any way.
Simpson said Branson police are investigating the matter, with animal neglect a possible charge.
The tricky part is going to be tying all these dogs together, and that may have been why they were all put in separate areas.
And it's just totally ridiculous that somebody would be that cruel to poor defenseless animals.
You can check the Taney County Animal Control Facebook page for updates on which rescue or humane society the dogs are being sent to, but it's going to be at least a week before the Chihuahuas at the animal control facility will be eligible for foster care or adoption. Still ahead, 24 years of battles come to a close in Wyandotte, Oklahoma. And later, a man accused of shooting a homeowner during a dispute over grass clippings in St. Louis claims it was self-defense. For the past 24 years now, the D-Day Adventure Park in Wyandotte, Oklahoma has hosted the annual D-Day Battle. This year is the last year, so we sent KOAM photojournalist Ty Parks to check out the final battle.
Also an event to recognize the World War II veterans. My grandfather was on Utah Beach during the Normandy invasions, and so that history has always been with me as a kid growing up. So that's what's inspired this. Once he passed, and I always wanted to do something for him.
Everybody doing good? Everybody got water? Everybody got paint? So this is year 16 for me. Actually, my kids got me into it back in 2005. You know, I had about 300-400 players up at the top, and the sounds of those markers opening up were, it just, I couldn't even see the beach or from where we were staging at. All I could hear was the sounds, and the smallest glimpse of what it might have sounded like during that time, you know, storming the beach, and, you know, it just, I fell in love with it.
When I was a kid, I loved playing paintball, and I would tell her stories when I was in the military, you know, about how we go out and play paintball and stuff like that, and she just said she wanted to play it, and she gets behind some cover, we sneak through some brush, she pops up 25 feet from somebody takes him out, and they're a 32-year-old man.
I'm in my late 50s now, and I'm thinking about maybe doing something different. So we're going to hang it up on a high note, and we're going to put this chapter behind us. It's time to do something else.
While the Adventure Park will no longer host D-Day, it isn't closing and will still play host to other paintball and airsoft events. Later, a St. Louis area church says its Black Lives Matter sign has been vandalized multiple times, but they're not giving in.
We've got another hot and humid day ahead of us, but a better shot for storms on the way as well. We'll get to that next. Even though it was downright hot and humid once again, we should cut things quiet throughout the course of our Thursday across the region. Granted, we had to start the overnight hours out with maybe a random shower, maybe a couple of thunderstorms at worst. brought moderate to heavy pockets of rain, but that was mainly in our southern counties as we began the overnight earlier this morning. For the most part, though, underneath partly to mostly sunny skies, the heat and humidity hasn't resulted in any rain or thunderstorm chances popping up during the afternoon, and we're still looking okay right now. While I will not rule out a slight chance for a random shower or storm or two later on tonight, the radar network's going to get quite a bit of work out with better chances for storms on the way come tomorrow afternoon and certainly tomorrow evening. As far as temperatures go, don't need me to tell you, it was hot and humid once again. Lower 90s yesterday, dropping back in the lower 70s this morning, and at the very least a high of 92 observed at about 3 o'clock this afternoon at Joplin Regional. So it may look nice with partly to mostly sunny skies outside at 7th and Range Line. It doesn't feel so nice though. 90 degrees. It feels like 97 though, with a dew point of 72 and just a very light east breeze at 3 miles per hour. Everyone's near 90, if not in the lower 90s at the top of the 6 o'clock hour, but you factor in the humidity, it feels like the upper 90s to about 100. Some more triple digits popping up on the Kansas and Oklahoma side. We will see the mercury drop throughout the course of the evening down to 80 by 10 o'clock, 78 by midnight. 74 for a kind of warm start to our Friday. And again, a random shower storm possible later on tonight, but I don't see any big thunderstorm chances, at least for tonight. Venture to the northwest, though, severe storms erupting along the Montana-North Dakota line with more development expected within the next few hours in parts of South Dakota and Nebraska. Ahead of our next cold front that wants to try and make a run for us. But of course, the upper levels coming into play as well. This upper low is fueling those storms, and it's going to force the complex of storms to take a dive toward the south as we get going into our Friday afternoons. With that in mind, there's at least a marginal risk that some of these storms will be strong to severe. But Doug and I have been looking into the details of this day ahead of us. I would not be surprised if we had an upgrade to at least a low severe threat by tomorrow morning. But we'll keep an eye on these storms between 3 o'clock and 11 tomorrow night, with wind and hail being our biggest threats. Can't rule out quite a bit of heavy rainfall as well. So let's see if we can time this out for you. Again, a random shower storm during the overnight hours. I think we're dry to start the morning out, but it'll be kind of warm with lows in the mid 70s. Near 90 already by Friday afternoon, with highs in the mid 90s before we see that complex of storms roll on in. So your planner has it at 74 in the morning, 90 by noon, and hot and humid again with highs near 94. But as early as 3 or 4 o'clock, we'll watch this complex of storms come out of Kansas City and work straight south. Again, with this configuration, wind and hail will be the biggest stress along with some heavy rainfall before this clears out by the time we head toward late tomorrow night and definitely into Saturday. Behind that complex, though, we'll try to trend at least a little bit cooler. Maybe a few random storms Saturday with highs near 89. Lower 90s with quiet skies for Sunday and Monday. And behind another complex of storms on Tuesday now, hopefully temperatures will be more tolerable by the middle of next week with highs in the mid 80s.
Yeah, mid 80s, as hot as it is more tolerable.
Sounds refreshing.
Thanks, Nick. Still ahead, a man accused in a shooting over grass clippings in St. Louis says it was self-defense. We're going to hear what the county prosecutor says. Authorities say an argument over grass clippings in St. Louis ended with a deadly shooting. One of the men at the scene says it was self-defense, but the family of the 29-year-old Missouri man who was killed wants answers. Ashley Lincoln reports.
I was so shocked I couldn't even move.
News 4 speaking exclusively to the man in black, seen in this video, coming to what would be a deadly meeting with Alan Waller.
I didn't know what to do.
4 shots to the chest.
Alan Waller's family contends he was shot in cold blood. But late Wednesday, St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney Wesley Bell's office told News 4 the shooting was in self-defense.
Cutting grass is not worth anyone's life.
The landscaper came to Waller's home after he says Waller's neighbor, the woman in the video, said Waller had issue with grass blades blowing into his driveway.
Like, sir, I understand that it's grass in your property. Don't you think the wind could have blown this over?
The man says when Waller took them around the corner of the house out of sight of the surveillance camera, that's when things became intense.
He pulls out his gun from his waistband, cocks it, and starts waving it around at me and my brother and puts it to one of my brother's head.
The landscaper says he brought his 2 brothers with him, the man in the white shirt and the one later seen running with the gun after his client told him Waller had been spotted by neighbors brandishing his gun during arguments.
My oldest son saw this
He said, "Mama, I ran so fast. It's the fastest I ever ran in my life."
That's the mother of the 3 men.
I ain't raised my sons to take nobody's life. I've lost people to street violence. And I wouldn't wish this on nobody, and I didn't teach my sons to kill nobody.
Prosecutor Bell's office says the evidence shows the actions were, quote, indeed self-defense. Since learning this new information, News 4 has been trying to talk to Waller's immediate family, but no one responded. His sister, however, did express anger online.
He didn't mean no harm. He moved out the hood to be in a better place, and he still died in his driveway.
St. Louis County prosecuting attorney has not ruled out charges in the shooting. They say it depends on whether they find additional evidence in the case. According to the prosecutor, the matter is under advisement because of the element of self-defense. Inmates at the Oklahoma prison began receiving special computer tablets this week. It's part of a plan by the Department of Corrections to provide inmates at state prisons with free tablets. The devices include free content such as access to a law library, along with some podcasts, books, and educational materials. Tablets can also be used to communicate with their families. Members of a Kirkwood, Missouri church say vandals have repeatedly targeted them for their Black Lives Matter sign, but they are not backing down. Robert Townsend reports.
I made the sign for Elliot.
6 months ago, a proud Bob Becker made this huge Black Lives Matter sign for his church, Elliot Unitarian Chapel in Kirkwood.
It's something that Elliot's felt strongly about, just, social justice.
Since the death of Michael Brown in Ferguson nearly 7 years ago, members of Elliot Unitarian have taken a stand against racism and police brutality. Every Tuesday night, church members held a vigil for hope and healing.
So here you see a battered sign.
This Tuesday night, the moms, dads, and their kids were back with their signs and to speak out against crimes against their church.
I just think they're misguided.
Becker's talking about the bold vandals who damaged the historic church's Black Lives Matter sign that sits on the front lawn. On May 7th, the culprits pushed over the sign.
And then the next time they kicked a hole in it and tore the plastic.
And early Monday, the culprits came back to the church that's across the street from the Kirkwood Farmers Market.
And they literally just pushed and pushed and pushed till they broke it off its the rack there that I made.
It feels painful.
Sure, the painful crimes on sacred grounds are disappointing, but they won't deter this church family.
We want to witness that love always wins. You can destroy a sign, but you cannot destroy a movement.
Church says the Kirkwood Police Department is investigating. A final check on the weather is next. Take time now to honor a local veteran, Corporal Calvin Stoll. The Buffalo, Kansas native served in the U.S. Army during World War II. And we are proud to salute Corporal Calvin Stoll. He's tonight's four-state hero. Jordan Hobby joins us now with a look at what's coming up on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Tonight at 9, a new poll says older Americans took more to alcohol during the coronavirus pandemic. We'll hear more. Plus, more concerns of inflation after new data shows consumer prices rose 5% in May. Also going to meet a squirrel in charge of guarding a company's money. And this little dude, trust me, does a pretty good job. We'll see him. That and much more coming your way tonight. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Yeah, I also want to know more about that watch squirrel. We'll find out at 9. Still pretty hot out there, Nick.
Yeah, hot and humid this evening. We'll do it again tomorrow with highs near 94. We'll watch for strong to maybe severe storms on Friday. We'll get a fresh look at that forecast tonight at 9 and 10 now.
Thanks for joining us. We will see you back here at 10. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other and make it a great evening.